We want to start by hailing President Joe Biden for taking the decision to lift a good chunk of the executive orders which he had been inhibiting Zimbabwe from fully participating in the global economy. It was a courageous decision on his part. You got to remember that he was the original sponsor of the ZANU Act in 2002 when he was a member of the US Congress, him and the former Vice President Hillary Clinton.
Mazuva apfuura hapana mazuva akawanda tambotaura nyaya yemasanctions. Nyika ino yeZimbabwe yanga iri pasi kwemasanctions kubva 2001. Saka tine 23 years under sanctions. Vana vedu vane 23 years or 24 years havazivi kugara pasina masanctions. Vakazvagwa mumasanctions vakurira pai zvokuti abviswa hazvina zvazvinoreva kwavari. Ma-Americans recently said they are removing some of the sanctions. I say absolute nonsense.
So he's a man who knows Zimbabwe well. And for him now, as president of the United States, the most powerful country in the world, to have had the sincerity and the courage to actually revisit the issue of sanctions and to nullify or to remove a bunch of executive orders, it is a positive thing. And as Zimbabweans who have suffered for so long, we really welcome that decision on the part of the US President.
Why? In the first place, those sanctions are illegal. You can't impose sanctions on a country which has not offended you. We have never offended the Americans. They have imposed illegal sanctions on us. Nothing short of total removal of sanctions would please us.
It's coming almost 2 decades of continuous executive orders against Zimbabwe by US presidents. It was almost a yearly routine that come February, come March, those sanctions will be renewed or will be increased or aggravated. So to have them this time in 2004 being removed, it is a very positive thing. I also want to add that as ZANU PF, we have always worked under the mantra of our president. We want to be enemy to none and friend to all. So it looks like the message is getting through. There is absolutely no reason why a little country of 16 million people, landlocked, snug in the middle of Africa, would ever, under any consideration, be viewed as a threat to the US foreign policy.
They say they are removing some of the sanctions and keeping some. We say absolute nonsense.
We neither have the population, nor do we have the economic means, nor do we even have the intention, let alone the capability, to try to frustrate the foreign policy of a superpower. So by and large, if you remove emotional, perhaps ideological, and geopolitical considerations, there is absolutely no reason why Washington would ever view Zimbabwe as a threat to its foreign policy. So from that aspect, by the President of the United States to actually lift some of these sanctions today, it's an acknowledgement that the designation of Zimbabwe as a threat to US foreign policy is misplaced. And I also want to say they should have been removed long time ago, but better late than never.
Sanctions must go because they are unlawful. They were declared unlawful by the United Nations Security Council. These sanctions are unlawful and declared so by the United Nations Security Council. So until all sanctions are removed, do not expect us to smile because we have removed some of the sanctions.
That is it may. We all remember Floyd George. He says, please take off your boot. I want to breathe. Now there were 2 boots placed on the Zimbabwe neck, and one of them has been removed. It's a good thing. It means we may breathe. We may have a little bit more air to breathe. So it is a good thing that Floyd George is having more air to breathe. We do hope that the other boot will also be soon removed so that he can fully breathe.
They are illegal and they must be removed in total. I'm happy that under these heinous sanctions imposed on our motherland, Zimbabwe, for the last 24 years, we have remained united. We have developed our country. Economic growth of our country is ahead of several countries that have no sanctions.
We are now a country of shared prosperity between black and white, unlike the country of divided prosperity, of denied prosperity on racial lines. So we are plodding along very well as Zimbabweans. So why would America continue to fight kith and kin racial wars about trying to restore land to the white population, our white minority, who anyway are almost a generation beyond that initial tiff? And most of them, they are now finding that home is the best, and they are coming back from all over the world. The white diaspora is coming back. The first one from the 70s, which ran away from Ian Smith's war, they are coming back. They are old, but they are coming back. The other younger generation from the 80s who did not want majority rule, they are also coming back. Then there's also the meltdown generation, which blended with the black population as the economy tanked under sanctions. Everybody's coming back. Why are they coming back? It's because President Mnangagwa has been doing fantastic work in terms of economic reforms, doing for business ethics and incentives, and generally exciting the best capital in the world, private capital, to come to Zimbabwe and invest. We are very happy that in a month's time, we will be starting to produce steel on a scale Africa has never known. This is Zimbabwe under President Mnangagwa. We just discovered oil. It's a rich country. So we will soon be enjoying the disappearance of the drought of energy because of fossil fuels, because we will be having both gas and petroleum. There are many other minerals which are in Zimbabwe's bonanza right now. And these are all attracting world-class capital from the best boardrooms across the continents. There's no reason why the Americans should be missing. The Chinese are here, the Indians are here, the UAE people are here, South Africans have always been here, the British companies never left, even some American companies never left. So we want more of those American companies. And the removal of sanctions sends a signal to them that you can go and do business in Zimbabwe. So this is a very positive thing, that sanctions have been removed. Even the mere mention of the word remove, it relaxes the apprehension of boardrooms in America, business boardrooms, about going to Zimbabwe to do business. So this has got an announcement effect to tell the American business people, go and join businessmen from other countries who are coming to Zimbabwe, taking advantage of the best educated population on Africa, the most organized labor force, which can quickly convert capital into profit. This is the fault of Zimbabwe. Quick conversion of capital into profit. So this is what we want to sell to the Americans. And this signal by President Biden to say sanctions have been removed, it goes down very, very well.
As a result of these sanctions, it has forced us as a country and as a people to develop our country, to develop our economy on the basis of our own domestic resources, our internal resources, our skills. This year, it is expected that Zimbabwe is going to grow about 4% GDP. Many countries in SADC are hardly above 3.2 growth, and we are above that, in spite of these unlawful sanctions imposed on us. The removal of some of the sanctions will never make us happy.
We also want to take this opportunity to thank the American diplomats who have been based in Zimbabwe. Their colleagues previously worked on a road. Each time they made reports about Zimbabwe, they relied on their affinity to the CCC, to the former MDC, to the opposition, because these people had an ambition, a desire to become rulers of Zimbabwe, even without the mandate of the Zimbabwean electorate. Now, it looks like candid and honest reports by American diplomats at the U.S. Embassy in Harare have finally gone back to the State Department, which has reassessed its reportage on Zimbabwe and made a departure from 2 decades of impulsive, negative, punitive action against Zimbabwe. So this is a very good thing for American diplomacy, and we want to thank the team at the embassy, the U.S. Embassy in Harare, for having pushed this agenda in Washington. You know, they are only functionaries. They are dealing with their leaders who are elected officials, who are in the executive, who are in the Congress. But for the functionaries to finally have penetrated that veil of negativity about Zimbabwe, it is a good thing for American diplomacy. You know, it's Americans and Democrats, given a chance, they would want to be fair. You know, I know there are many things which may weigh down on them, on prejudices and other things, but given a chance, America can be fair. And we also want to say, America is the largest economy in the world. They've put most of the financial architecture of the world. They hold sway. So by removing some of these sanctions, they make it possible for Zimbabwe to become part of the global digital economy. We are now looking at the prospects of Zimbabweans opening PayPal accounts, of Zimbabweans being part of the artificial intelligence drive, which is pushing global financial inclusivity, the envelope of global financial inclusivity. Zimbabweans want to be part of the global community. So this signal from America, it is a good thing.
We will only be happy if all the sanctions are totally removed. So, those who impose sanctions on us, take them off. As long as you keep some of the sanctions on, then we are not together.
Nothing succeeds like success. Clearly, America is registering the success which President Mnangagwa has scored in terms of Zimbabwe's economy. And America would deal, nobody wants to be left when there is success drifting along. You also want to be part of the boat, right, sailing along success. So they see the success of the president, and it is a backhanded pat on the president of the Republic of Zimbabwe by America to say, we see what you are doing, your economy is growing, the IMF says it is growing, the World Bank, it is growing, boardrooms all over the world are saying Mnangagwa is a good person for business. So this message is getting through. So that's why nothing succeeds like success. America wants to be part of that success. And because they were some of the best businessmen in the whole world, we like their acumen, business acumen. We want them to come here, challenge the Indians and do better than them. Challenge the Chinese, do better than them. Challenge the UAE, challenge South Africans, challenge everybody. So American businessmen can show its prowess. Who is the winner? Of course, they make money, like I told you. But Zimbabwean people are the ultimate winners because out of that competition of various sources of capital, we get the best possible performance. He who runs best wins the trophy. This is all what we want, and this is the mood by which we want to greet the removal of these sanctions. Yes, we have angst, we have regret that the other boot is still on our neck, but at least Floyd George can half breathe. This is a good thing. Maybe this time he won't have to die.
We have never offended anybody beyond the seas. We are a humble, united people of Zimbabwe, very proud Zimbabweans. We have a philosophy that we are a friend to all and an enemy to none. But those who choose to be our enemies, it is their choice, not ours.
We do things according to our president because they are good for Zimbabwe, not because we want to please other countries. If other countries end up being happy about what we are doing, it is a bonus. And President Mnangagwa means well for the people of Zimbabwe. He wants to deepen their democracy. He wants them to enjoy human rights. Look, he has just now moved to repeal the idea of the death penalty, which he has opposed all his life. He is reaching out to bring African countries in the region to come together to tackle African problems. We see positive movements in the DRC and the Great Lakes region. He has somehow been engaged because he has got a long memory of what has been going on. He has also recently had the honor of being honored by fellow regional diplomats at the death of the African stalwart and the burial of the African stalwart, Comrade Dr. Hagegengob. He is a man who enjoys the prestige and status of his fellow colleagues in the region. And we even have a positive statement from President Hakainde from Zambia, Hichilema. He says, we are very happy that President Biden, listened to his African colleagues. So I'm sure President Hichilema had an ear with President Biden. Why? Because he thinks Comrade President Mnangagwa is a good man. So everybody in the region is voting for President Mnangagwa. Why would America want to be an exception when all the regional players are supporting him? So this is a good thing that President Biden is finally listening to the voice of Africans on issues which are of an African nature. And the voice of the Africans is that they want Zimbabwe out of sanctions. This is all what the Africans want. So it is a good thing that maybe if we take from President Hichilema that President Biden has decided to listen to the IU, to SADC, to the non-aligned movement, and to many other in the international fora who have been championing the case against sanctions for Zimbabwe. A very important take from this development, it is that we are striving to make a multiracial society. We speak English, which Americans speak because of their common British background. Our people in the region will probably be speaking English for the next 200 to 300 years because it's a lingua franca for the world. So there is a lot of cultural and linguistic and other affinities between Zimbabwe, America, and the Anglo-Saxon world. Sometimes America wants to highlight geopolitical issues of the fight against China, against Russia, against which other power. These are transient. 300, 400, 500 years from now, we will still be working together with people of former English stock who will probably be as Zimbabweanized as anybody are, as they are today. So why not work for a multiracial society in Southern Africa based on what binds us together, rather than continue to sow divisions about things which make us grow asunder? This is my appeal to the Americans. Let's look at the long term. Let's look at the multiracial project in Southern Africa. Let's support it.
So God, we say to you, we have no vengeance against those who spite us. We leave it up to you, the Lord above, to punish them, not us.